The Cold War may be over, but the shadows it cast are growing darker. Moscow just issued a chilling nuclear warning to the United States. Not decades ago. Not during some textbook crisis. This week. And if you're thinking this is just more saber-rattling, think again, because the last safeguards that once kept the world from the brink are crumbling. In the heart of Moscow, beneath layers of official statements and diplomatic jargon, a stark message was delivered: Russia is no longer playing by the old rules. The Kremlin's top officials, once cautious in their language about nuclear arms, are now speaking with chilling clarity. If the U.S. continues down its current path, Russia will abandon its last remaining nuclear treaty with Washington and prepare for a new era of unrestrained nuclear strategy. Just days ago, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov stood before the press and made it clear the clock is running out on the New START treaty. This agreement, once hailed as the backbone of U.S.-Russia nuclear arms control, is on life support. And both nations know it. What's changed? On the surface, it seems tied to the war in Ukraine, to NATO expansion, and to U.S. military aid pouring into Eastern Europe. But dig deeper and you'll find something far more dangerous, a breakdown of trust between two nuclear superpowers with thousands of warheads on hair-trigger alert. Russia's latest warning wasn't just about missiles or military exercises. It was about surveillance, inspections, and transparency. Under the New START treaty, both sides could verify compliance through mutual inspections. But those inspections have been frozen since 2021, due to COVID, then due to mutual suspicion. Now, even communication between arms control teams is deteriorating. And with that silence comes danger. Washington, for its part, insists that arms control still matters. President Biden has said repeatedly that extending New START or negotiating a successor is vital to global security. But actions speak louder than words. With U.S. focus shifting toward competition with China and heavy involvement in Ukraine, Russia sees a widening gap between American rhetoric and policy. So Moscow is taking steps. They've begun deploying new strategic weapons, including the terrifying Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile nicknamed Satan II. This missile can carry multiple nuclear warheads, travel across the globe, and bypass most known missile defenses. It's not just a weapon, it's a message. A message that says, we're ready if you are. And it doesn't end there. Russia's recent nuclear drills included not just land-based ICBMs, but submarine-launched missiles and strategic bombers simulating full-spectrum nuclear retaliation. The footage was broadcast across Russian state TV like a warrior propaganda reel. Not for the sake of bluffing, but to send a signal: deterrence is back on the table. Why does this matter now more than ever? Because for decades, arms control served as a pressure valve. Even when relations were tense, treaties like SALT, INF, and START created a structured dialogue. But as each agreement has crumbled, first the INF in 2019, now the looming expiration of New START, we're heading into uncharted waters. A world without arms control is not a stable world. It's a world where nuclear posturing replaces diplomacy, where satellites track mobile missile launchers like predators in orbit, where one misread signal, a radar glitch, a training exercise mistaken for an attack could set off a chain reaction that cannot be reversed. And yet, the public remains largely unaware. While politicians trade accusations and defense contractors tally budgets, the average citizen forgets that just 30 minutes is all it takes for a missile launched in Moscow to reach New York. That reality never changed. What has changed is the restraint. What's next? If New START is allowed to die in 2026, and signs suggest it might, the US and Russia will enter a nuclear arms race with fewer rules, less oversight, and higher risks. China, meanwhile, is rapidly expanding its own arsenal, adding another layer to an already volatile equation. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about facing the facts. Without meaningful arms control, the chance of miscalculation rises. The lines that once kept the Cold War from becoming hot are fading. The question now isn't just whether Russia is serious. It's whether the US is paying attention. Because in the absence of dialogue, warnings don't come in whispers, they come with warheads. And history has shown us one thing: once the balance of terror is broken, it's almost impossible to restore.